Welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live stream with live people, although it is quite early in the UK this morning. And this is recorded for YouTube for people to watch at their leisure. I've got a piece of this, making my squares for my little book of watercolours. And I find the best one is the Sea White 140 GSMs. It may not, I've taken the automatic focus off, so it may not focus properly. But they're about 99p, but it's quite good quality. So I'm having a bit of a play with, I thought I'd do a comparison between the Caran D Colour 2s and the Derwent art bars. So I've tried to match up colours like for like. So if we start at this top side, we've got yellow ochre, and it's actually named yellow ochre, number 38 yellow ochre. So we'll have a square. So I'm going to make some squares as if I was making my little book. Now it is a little bit chalkier and you're wasting a little bit of colour as you're crayoning. I'm going to put the automatic focus on for a minute. So as you're crayoning, bits are coming off. And being a tight Yorkshire lass, I'm going to put those into a palette because I don't want to waste, I don't want to lose them, I'll use them. So I'm going to put those in there. And you can make a wash with those. Doesn't look to be much, but you can make a wash. And I'll show you later about that. So we've tapped off as much as we can. Right. And so we'll mark that yellow ochre art bar. And then we want yellow ochre, I'll just put neo colour, and then we'll make a square of this. So again, a nice waxy, crayon waxy, but I only lost one tiny bit. Don't lose any, so that's what they look like. You can just see that they both sit nicely on top. There's a bit more creamier, but I've got a funny feeling that the art bars are professional watercolours, whereas the near colour 2s I don't think they are. So the next one we have is a raw umber. And we'll do the art bar first. So these are a little bit smaller squares than I would normally use. And I think that one's number 49 raw umber as well. I'm not going to label them because this is just a practice. This is just a comparison. So again, you don't lose hardly any colour from the near colour 2s. So again, I'm going to tap that colour here. And I'm going to push that into a little bit of a pile. So I've got piles of dust. Because I think the art bars come with a scraper. These probably would be too thick for that. So then we've got two reds. One's called primary red and the other one is called cadmium, light cadmium hue. So again, the art bars are at the top. I think somebody said 72 of those was £200, but I think the Neocolour 2s are 100 and some. So, and that's how much I'm using. That's the corner there. So there's still quite a lot of colour, pure colour there. And I'll show you the Neocolour 2. And when I make my little squares, I normally do three layers, but with the art bars I'm not doing 3 layers. And again, you can see a little bit of crumb on the bottom, but more pigment on the top. So again, I'm going to make a little pile of red. Might not focus on that. It's a little piles now of dust. It's not quite dust, it's probably a little bit bigger than dust. So we'll have done the reds. Oh, I've got ready reds, so we'll have the ready reds next. So again, you do the art bar. And I would think probably 1 layer of that, because all I'm doing is scratching over the top. Whereas the Caran D I do about 3 layers. So I'm trying to match them in colour, so again I'm going to tap that there. And because I didn't do 3 layers, I just did 1. I didn't lose as much pigment. There's hardly any pigment lost at that time there. So I'll probably carry on doing that. So now we've got a couple of oranges. So again, just 1 layer of orange, and then the Caran D Neocolour 2. And again, that's the damage to the crayon. So you've still got all this colour. And that was the damage to the Neocolour 2, the art bar. Hardly any. And yet I've got a square of colour to take out with me, and the paints can stay at home. Because, you know, if you're spending hundreds of pounds on them, you want them to stop at home. So again, I'm just going to put that into there. And then we have a primary yellow for the art bar. And again, I'm going to show you on a corner that's not been... See, that's had a little bit of a wedge taken off it, just very slightly. But I'm going to use the corner. I mean, you can draw with these. And then the Neocolour 2, which wasn't very clean. And I want to show you that you think there's not a lot of colour there, but you'll be surprised at the end. So we've done yellow and orange. We've got the greens and the blues to do next, and I'll probably get them on this section here. So we've got 3 more to do. So we've got a blue art bar, and the colours aren't exactly matched, but they're as near match as we can get them. So that means that I can put them in my little book. I can put them both in my little book. And I've got the same type of watercolour crayon, but they'll have different effects. Again, I'm learning not to waste a lot this time. And the last one is the blue one, the dark blue, which is Prussian blue. So it's a different blue, but so they're all sitting on top. As you can see, a layer of creamy wax, waterproof colour sitting on top. So I shall just very, very carefully do 2 flowers. 2 flower petals. It's probably a little bit too small. And I put the little pot on here earlier. Oopsie daisy. I did put it in here earlier, but it's gone. Whoops. Never mind. I do need a baby wipe. I'm going to check up with the art bars, but I'm pretty sure they are professional watercolours. I'll double check. But the Neocolor 2s are very vibrant. So if I'm just going to take a corner of this, and this is how I normally work. So I've got the tiniest amount of colour on there. And I can spread the colour around. That was the art bar. And then this is the Neocolor 2. So they're reacting in very similar ways. The binders are very similar. They're both just as easy to pick up. They're both very, very well pigmented. Although I've always used Caran D. So they're both reacting exactly the same way when you're just using a flat colour. Now in a minute I'm going to do a watercolour effect and see if we get the same result. So they both can go in my little book, They're both pure colour. The only difference is I'm pretty sure the dirt ones are professional watercolours, but I'll have to check. Vibrancy, there's nothing in it at all. Just a tiny amount of water and they're activated, which is again really nice and easy to use. I know you can mix the Neocolor 2s because I've been using them for over 20 odd years, so I know they weren't called Neocolor 2s, but I know you can mix them. So they've all kind of given us a really nice flat colour. So if I do a little bit bigger flower, or petal, and again a damp brush, a little bit of colour, and do it to tease the colour out. So we have a natural watercolour effect without a lot of water. So that was quite nice and very easy. Didn't have to do things 10 times. I'm going to try the Neocolor 2s. I do know the Neocolor 2s work, but because that's what I've been using. So again, in there and tease that colour out. I do have a few marks on here, but so again, just a little bit of colour on the end, and then I'm going to tease that colour out. So they're both really nice to work with. So they are both obviously waterproof, water soluble, because they're both called water soluble crayons. You do want quite a large flower to get a nice normally effect. And again, they don't use a lot of paint, so it's a tight Yorkshire lass. I quite like that. So that was the art bar, and then this is the Neocolor 2. Just take a small amount and push the colour out, tease the colour out. Until it gets paler and paler. So I would say there isn't very much in them as in what you can do, but this is just how I use them in a very simple way. It's to do with what the pigments are, whether they're light fast. This is something that I haven't looked into. Again, I'm pretty sure that the art bars are professional watercolours. The Neocolor 2s aren't, but the pigment is very, very, very good. But if I can get watercolour effects doing this, then you can get proper watercolour effects on watercolour paper. I mean, this is just sketchbook paper. Worked quite dry. So you can get some really nice effects with both. And I've hardly used any little dots. And that's why I like using my little book. But these are very, very pale. I think if you wanted to do kind of this kind of thing, but again, different people use different techniques. Watercolorists, they'll probably react a lot differently. I just wanted to see what they were like for colouring in, watercolouring, and they seem to be quite fine. So that was the art bar, and then of course we know what happens with the Neocolor 2s. I think you could possibly push around. I know you can push the Neocolor 2s around a lot. Yeah, again, you see there's not much in it. They're completely water soluble, which makes them a treat to use. My camera decides it might not want to focus. So again, they're really, really nice. Now this is a proper water brush, but this isn't watercolour paper. So they both move as well. They're both moving in water. And these are very similar to the watercolour pencils. If you draw directly into the water, it will not disappear. But if you want to kind of make some watercolour effects, with the near colour 2s are quite vibrant. I would say the outer bars probably just have it, but again I think that's because they're professional watercolours and they are slightly different colours, but they're behaving very, very similar. So if you have one, you probably won't need to buy the other. Having said that, I'm a bit biased. I've worked with Caran D and loved it for years, but I'm a bit impressed with the art bars, I have to say. But that was just a very simple, oopsie, a very, very simple test to see if I could use them for watercolouring in my little book without using a lot of water. There's a lot of artists and videos about people using both the art bars in this way, so I just wanted to use it for how I use it, which is quite dry. Watercolouring, quite dry, that's what I use. So that's that test out of the way. So they behave very similar, so they both can go in my little book of colours. So that's what the near colour 2s look like. But I want to put the art bars in order of colour, so I don't want to scribble them on there yet. And I'm going to Derwent this weekend, so I'm hoping to get some more art bars, so I'll have the full set. So I'm not going to make mine yet. Hi Ify, welcome to Bonnie's Designs. Oh dear, 3:30. Yes, it will be 3:30. Goodness me. We'll see if we can lull you to sleep, shall we? So I've just done a very quick comparison of the art bars, but I'm pretty sure that the art bars are professional. But I've just done it in my little simple watercolour way. I quite like those. And they look very, very similar. Creamy texture, a waxy texture, and also for watercolouring as well. So I'm going to, I started using them on here, and I did this yesterday. I got some wet on there, so I thought I'd have a bit of a play. And this is almost as thin as photocopy paper as this particular book. It's not overly thick. It is just an ordinary page. But this is what yesterday's play was. So I got some quite nice effects with these art bars. So I'm going to put these back into the box. And the near colour 2s are set out for putting in my little book of colours. I've just broken a peg. I don't know how I did that. Never mind. So I just sat that one in water, which he didn't like. So put that one in there to dry. going to put the earthy tones in that one, I think. Possibly. So they're all mixed up now. They're all mixed up. Just got to make sure you don't have any wet patches on there, because it damages the back of your book, which I found out yesterday. So I'm a little bit cross with myself for doing that. So I'm going to carry on playing in here. As I say, I'm quite impressed with those. I am a bit of a Derwent girl though, so this is the little book I'm making for Carol, but it's taking its time. Oh, I could make one of those, couldn't I? It's taking its time at the moment with this silly finger. So all the projects I was hoping to do have been kind of put on hold a little bit. Probably better hopefully better by the end of the week. But I've had to put silver foil on the end of my finger. So because I quite enjoyed playing with these, and I'm going to carry on with the paper palette, because I think if you're working, you've got to work from a paper palette if you want to do watercolouring, which is colouring in with a tablespoon of water. You have to use this method. It will not work otherwise, because it will go through. And I did get a little bit wet yesterday, and you can just see a little bit showing through. So I'm going to put a piece of paper through the middle of here. It's very clean, is it? No, it's not very clean. I was at my other desk yesterday. I thought, oh, that's wonderful. I can just lean forward and I can just pull out a piece of paper. Now, I did photocopy. I bought this for my husband and I photocopied it. So it'd be quite nice to work in here as well. So I seem to have got a different book working in different ways. I'm just going to use that as a protector. Because I did colour this one in. I was going to use all the earthy tones for that. I did colour this one in like this, very carefully. And if you do it very, very gently, you don't make any marks. Like here, where there was lots of trying to do 2 layers, I lost a little bit of it. So here, there was one tiny little bit that came out. So I'm using my baby wipe, but just got to be that little bit careful. I don't catch. I might put it in here actually. Just had a thought. If I put that inside there, I'm not going to get any water anywhere near the art bars because they will disintegrate. I'm sure they will. Same with the Caran D Neocolor 2s, and that's why I like them in my little book, because when you have a paper palette, you know, if you ruin this, you've lost this. You haven't lost your art bars. And I was using a bit thicker brush than yesterday. So I'm probably going to use That's the 05. That's the 010. And there isn't much in them. I like the number 1, and I don't really think I need the number 2, it's too big. I think that's going to be it. I think I'm probably going to play with number 5. I think number 1 for the lettering and number 5. So I like to get the paintbrushes out. Now I could push the camera down. Move everything across. And move the water out of the way would be a good. Just zoom in a little bit. Just bring Sooty back. That looks quite good actually, doesn't it? So welcome to Bunny's Designs. So this is a live stream. So I've done a bit of an experiment with Windsor Derwent art bars and near colour 2s, and I've tried to match up the colours as near as I could. And there's nothing much in them, except for, I think, probably a bit more pigmented, but I think these are probably going to be light fast. And I know the Caran D ones aren't light fast, but I daren't say anything more because I don't know if it's true or not. But I'm pretty sure that the art bars are professional watercolours, whereas I know the near colour 2s aren't, but they're still very well pigmented, and I've used them for a long time, but I'm a bit of a Derwent nut, I have to say. And these will be going in my little book of colours. So I've actually scribbled the colour on here, like I did that one. And I don't normally like to use these like this. 2 reasons. One is you're doing things 10 times. You might as well be scribbling with a pencil, which is something I don't like to do. And the other one is because you're pushing the paint around a lot, you've got more tendency to have show through. Whereas using a paper palette, this is probably going to be a little bit dark, so I'm going to do this, I think. And then that's going to be a little bit too big. It's probably a bit too wet. And what you can do is if you nip the little bit that has water in it, instantly that's dried your brush, because it's all that water kind of trying to get down there. And so if you pick different ones, it doesn't last long. I'm actually going to go in with the 10-0 because it's a bit finer. I'm still touching that little circle. So imagine that these are on my paper palette. That's near colour 2 actually. The near colour 2s are very well behaved. I've used them for many years, and they're very convenient to use if you have them on a paper palette. And I didn't make enough. That was my fault. So I'm just going to get a pair of scissors. I'm going to cut. So if I wanted to, I could just put half a dozen colours on a page, put it in my book like that, take it with me, and I've got quite a lot of colour on here. I have quite a lot of colour. And it doesn't do anything to the other side at all. So I shall use the yellow ochre. And just tease that colour out. And again, this is a real nice, peaceful way of working. You know, I've got a little paper palette here. I'm not clunking in and out of this tin every 2 minutes, which would drive me potty. I am at the moment, but and this is my favourite letter set. And when I was at college, I had something with the T, and the T for here. I forgot what this one's called now. Tiberius, and it goes across here. Does the T as a capital? But because it was in the way, I had a very tall letter next to it. I had to redesign it, so I redesigned this letter set. Just reminded me doing that A. I recognised it. So I was trying to find some earthy colours. So I've got the yellow ochre there. This is a nice colour. This is yellow grey. So I could make a square there. Quite like the point on this rigger. So a little circle there, and then again that's a bit wet, because remember this is as thin as photocopy paper. This particular book, it's not designed for watercolour, but my way of watercolouring should be perfectly okay for it, if you're very careful. Oops. Right, so I've got that one. This one's called Paprika. So I may as well make these little squares, and then I'll just cut them up and put them into my little book. This one's Paprika. Which is quite a nice colour. And this is a long rigger, so it's got quite a lot of dampness in it, which is the key to using one brush for either a whole flower or a whole letter. And again, it's a real nice, peaceful way to work. I'm working my way through these colours. I think we've done the raw umber. That one's trying to keep the little flecks of colour as well, because I'm going to take Yorkshire last. Again, you can tell instantly because of that it's too wet, so I'm just going to nip the brush and just take a little bit of water out. So I haven't decided whether I want a flat colour or whether I wanted a bit of definition. Not really bothering with the watercolour effect for the lettering. I just want to get this colour down. So they work perfectly for watercolouring dry, and again it's got to be fairly dry because again I was a little bit too wet. You can see that it is a single page though, but this is quite thin, almost photocopy paper. So if you did that on photocopy paper, it would probably do the same. If we find a blue grey. It covers very nicely. But it's a photocopy paper. You've got to be a little bit careful. But as long as you're careful, you can colour anything in. You can watercolour anything. You've just not got to go at it with a brush lot of water. There's a beige colour there that looks quite nice. I'm just conscious of the fact that this is a bit of a messy page, because you do have a few crumbs with these art bars, but they are designed to be that way because there's a grater. It's a sharpener and a grater that you can have with it, that you buy with it. I think it's called Grate and Shake. I haven't looked much into them. I saw them when I was thinking about them a while ago, and but if I could get Derwent to put these into the little book as well, that would be fab. I think we'll have another earthy tone, marigold. So if you wanted a little bit pale, more control, make a paper palette. If you're not particularly bothered, the other way of working with them, just put that colour somewhere, marigold. You can just, as I was doing yesterday, is just stroking, not flicking. I'm just gently stroking the top here, getting some colour, and then using it as a flat colour. But again, that's a little bit wet, so you've got to be a little bit careful, because otherwise you will end up with a patch at the other side. Now this is thin paper and it's also single-sided, so you would be fine. But I'm just stroking this here, making that little bit of a dint, like I used to do with the Caran D Colour 2s all those years ago when I was tugging around in the train. I'd hold the stick in one hand and the sample pot in the other hand, and colour in. So there's two ways of using them. Again, that's that little bit too wet for me. I like the control of a paper palette. Has anybody got any questions? But I like working this way because it's almost dry straight away. So if you have to shut your book, or if you touch it, you rub it, doesn't matter. It's because I can guarantee if I do anything else, I'll smudge it. So I think I had the orange. And I'm sorry I'm a bit thingy-handed today. I've got the orange here. So again, damp off. You see, that's a bit too wet. So that paper, that baby wipe is getting too wet now because it's not draining off enough water. Because if you have it too wet, you can't get the watercolour effect. It's just drowned, and we don't want that. So I've just finished this page, this flower here, and then I'll show you some art cards with these two. I'm going to put that into there. And again, it's completely dry, so I can shut the book. If I can get it over there. So, where are my little art cards? I thought I could show this. And then we can see again how good they are. Started making some art cards. I've drawn on one or two of them. There we have it. I've drawn one or two of them. So this is permanent Indian ink in my rotring pens. So I'll do this one, and then I'll do the. Well, I've got the new colour twos there. Look, so we'll just play with these colours that we have here. So I have a slightly bigger brush, and I do this. That might be good. So we need to drop some colour in. And then we need to tease some colour out. So I'll do this flower in the art bars, and then I'll do the next one in the new colour too. Make sure that I'm in frame. That way probably. Oh, I should not have taken it off. That seemed a good idea at the time. So this time I actually do want quite a lot, and if you can see the wet shadow on there, you've got to be quite fairly quick. I don't know You can see it's not saturated, but it is well covered. And then we need to drop the colour in. And tease them together. So these are the art bars. So they are quite vibrant. Run that in there, it'll run and do all the work for you. And then if we wet this side, there's a bit too much water on there, but never mind. Oh, that was the Neocolor 2s, wasn't it? No, that was the art bar. This is the Neocolor 2s. Oops. So again, it's not much. Oops. There's not much in them. I messed that one up a little bit. They both behave the same. I'll just put the tiniest amount of blue in there. And the Neocolor 2s. So they're behaving quite the same. They're behaving themselves. Probably use a smaller brush. I'm probably better with a smaller brush. So the sometimes you can let it do its own thing. Sometimes you can play and tease it out. So that's the art bar. As I say, I know it works with the Neocolor 2s because I've been using them. So they're doing fairly well. Probably put too much water on that one. See what happens with that one. So that was the near colour 2. This is the art bar. So some have got a little bit wetter than others, but colour wise they match quite well. The art bars probably mix better, and the near colour 2s hold their own. Depends on what effect you want. So to mix them, the art bars seem to have mixed differently, if that makes any sense. Whereas the near colour 2s, the yellow stayed bright at that end. That might have been me with the water, but we'll try a whole one, see if there's a difference in a whole one. Again, I'm not really used to doing wet watercolours. It's a long time since I've used watercolours like this. I'm pretty sure that the other video I did about mixing art cards, I think I used the near colour 2s. Or maybe I used the peerless, I can't remember now. But they do tend to mix. Then we'll just try. Quite like that. And this isn't photocopy paper, this is just card. It's an art card kind of thing that came onto there. The Derwent art bar seems to sink in because I think that's why, because it's a professional watercolour, and I think the other one sits on top. The near colour 2s, but there's not much difference really, which I'm surprised at. I thought the art bars would be I don't know. I like the near colour 2s, so I should have known that they would behave themselves quite well. The only test is to do an actual watercolour, and I haven't done one for a while, so I might do a couple of tests of watercolours so that I can test them and see exactly how well they do. So that was my little art bar test. And I'm going to stop the recording there because I've done a little bit of, I've managed to match the colours up quite well. There is a subtle difference in some of them, So, but all in all, they've behaved themselves, I think. They've behaved themselves. So I'll double check to see if they're actually professional watercolours. So thank you for watching.